All right, guys, so I'm going to bring in a character. I'm going to use the same one I used for that last video. I'm just going to use the CC4 character. You'll see I just drug it in, but you can import it from inside of here as well. For these characters, I need to use T0 as the reference pose. That stands for time zero. In other words, frame zero. Because that's just how they handle, that's how Reallusion software handles their characters. They put their default pose on a timeline. So I'm going to import that, and you'll see it's going to create random assets in here because they're a bit slow on updating their plugins and stuff. So I have to manually import it like this, unfortunately. I'm just going to call that mats. I can delete these. I don't know why it's importing those like that, but yeah. So you can do this two ways. For example, I know this character has the Unreal Engine 4 skeleton, so I could just pull this over here. I could copy this here and then replace that character with this one, but I still need to create an IKRig for it. Or I can just handle this myself. So I'll probably just do that instead, but I'm going to reference to that other one just to make sure I don't miss anything. So I'm going to right click on this and go to create IKRig right here. I'm just going to press this auto stuff here. That works for the most part. Now I've showed before how you can like replace this full body IK with a limb IK solver. So I'll go ahead and do that now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete these two right here. And then I'm going to assign the right arm as the root of this. And then I'm going to assign the hand as the IK goal and assign that. And now you'll see that so if you do stuff like this, you know, you'll get deformation problems, but it'll keep you more on track because your entire body won't be moving with it. But I don't know. I mean, that's totally up to you. If you use the full body IK for the arms, it can cause your entire character to lean over like this when you're trying to adjust the hand positioning, the way he holds weapons. And honestly, if you have to adjust it that much, you should probably be making custom poses for holding those weapons. You probably shouldn't be trying to reuse the rifle one that I have in the project already. Just modify those for your new weapons. That's what I would suggest. And probably just go ahead and I'll just set that back up. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick with this one that we have in here already. And you can reset this right here to put it back where it was. Yeah, so I'm going to create an IK retargeter by right-clicking on it and creating IK retargeter. Actually, I'm doing this wrong. This needs to be from the UEFN to this character. So I'll just say UEFN. And then I'll select Steve here. I'm going to go into this. If you click running retarget, it switches over to edit retarget pose. You can also press this button and select it manually from this drop down. And I like to just reset these just to make sure that they're not aligned. The reason why is because if you align these, then it can have an effect on posture. Your character will tend to adopt the UEFN posture, but in actuality, it's also not needed, because what we're going to do is we're going to retarget these poses over to this character, and we're going to fix them for this character and then retarget them back. I probably won't do that in this video. I'll probably just show you how to use some that I've already made that should work with this. So the ones I made for the Unreal Engine 4, I'm hoping will work with this. We'll see. So I'm just going to come back out of here. And I like to make sure that there's no static local offsets in here. I like to keep these zeroed out personally. Now, if there's any offsets on his hands when he's trying to grab a hold of this ledge, you might offset them. But I would do that after you completely finish setting up your characters. Because if you want to use my finger correcting method and you have offsets on this, it can create problems. But in actuality, I'm taking another approach with that now. Instead of using the same one to retarget to and from, I suggest that you create an IK retargeter like this that goes from the UEFN to your character, and then create another one that goes from your character back to the UEFN. And the one that goes back to the UEFN, that one has to have this stuff zeroed out. And it also can't have the pose aligned right here. So you can't come over here and say align all bones. If you do that and you retarget to the UEFN with one of these aligned like that, then it'll screw everything up. For that method that I'll be showing you guys later. So if you do want to align these poses, you can, but I wouldn't suggest doing it. The only time you ever really need to align those poses is if you're trying to get, say, a dog to walk like a human. You know, that might be a time where you might need that, but you're not going to like the results, because the weights are going to break down on the dog, because he wasn't designed to stand up and walk like a human. So in reality, there's really no real strong use cases for that. There are some edge case use cases for actually aligning those poses, but in most cases, unless your character is in a T pose, it's not really needed. If he is in a T pose, I would suggest reposing him into the A pose, the Unreal Engine A pose. That's what I would suggest. But anyway, moving on. I've rambled on a little bit too long about that. I just wanted to kind of explain how that works to you guys. So I'm going to create a character blueprint. But actually, I'm just going to duplicate one of these. I'm just going to copy this one over. It doesn't really matter. You could copy any of them over, really, but so this is a remnant. I forgot to destroy that. That's not needed anymore. Attachments of items are being handled by the slot manager and pickup manager now. You don't need to. In fact, this held object thing right here, I forgot to destroy it. By the time you see this held object skeleton will no longer be here. It's going to be gone. This is the only thing you need right here on the begin play. And this character mesh, you can override that from in here. I'm going to delete this so that I can show you manually how to do this. So when you create your character, you're going to go into override, and you're going to scroll down and look for get character mesh. and you're going to override that, and you're going to get your character's skeleton, and you're going to plug it in right here. That's it. And this is for the slot manager. When the slot manager needs to attach a slot, this tells it to attach it to this skeleton and not the UEFN. Sorry. So outside of that, what we need to do is we need to actually set the skeleton. And you'll see this is bugged out right here. So I'm actually going to delete this. That's fine, because it seems to be corrupt. And I'm just going to drag this guy out here, and I'll put him under there, and I'm going to zero this out. And then I'm going to go back into that, and I want to plug in Steve. And then on the event graph, this is the live retargeted character. And I want to change his animation blueprint to use in fact, it's right here at the top, DAO generic retarget. Now, right here, you're not going to see this. The reason why that other one got corrupted is because I was doing this right here. Doing stuff like this is dangerous, actually, to do this from the construction script. A lot of people do it only because it looks nice to them to see the character actually moving in this preview. But just know that this serves no purpose in a compiled game. Being able to see him move in your preview, it serves no purpose in your compiled game, because the construction script does not get ran in a compiled game. It gets stripped out of here. So if you want to risk corrupting your blueprints by running stuff like this on it, then you can. That's totally up to you. I'm going to go ahead and do it just for the sake of this video. But just know it's dangerous. And now you can see him. He's now he looks funny, and that's because right now we don't actually have the proper IK retargeter on him. Go under defaults, character specific. We need to give him a character tag. And we need to create some hand sockets with these names, or we need to change these names. And then we need to replace this with our character's IK retargeter. So this is our character's IK, oh no, this is our character's IK retargeter right here. So I'm gonna place that there. And you'll see it still looks weird, and that's because we haven't actually came in here and fixed the feet, I think. Actually, we haven't done a lot. So this needs to be, normally the clavicles are 1-to-1. These don't need offsets. I'm just going to make sure these are zeroed out. I don't want those aligned. And I'm going to align the legs. So I'm going to come over here into, yeah, so this is the reason why it looked funny. I was in editing mode, that's why I didn't see it. So what we need to do is we need to align this. You can go into preview scene and disable post-processing to get rid of that brightness that happens. Hopefully one day, sometime over the next 100 years, maybe they'll fix that bug. But it's been in here for a really long time. So yeah, I'm just going to say 10. So if I say 10 here, I'm going to have to say -10 on this one. Yeah, because it's mirrored. That's the reason why. If your character isn't mirrored, then it'll be the same. I don't think we need to lift it up or down. Let me come back over here into... It's hard to tell, but I think it needs to go forward more. Yeah, so I want the ankles to be around the same location. So I'm going to say -12 and 12. And I think that's actually fine. I don't think I need to lower it. And if your character has a wider stance, that's fine. You don't need to bring his legs in. It'll end up making him look funny. This character just so happened to have his legs right there in the same spot. I just had to bring his feet forward. Yeah. So that looks a bit better now. So if we come back over here into this guy, we can recompile him if we want. You'll see it looks a lot better now. So later on, I'm going to create a idle layering pose. Right now, I don't have a idle layering pose, but that would allow us to correct his posture when he's in an unarmed state, and to correct his fingers when he's in an unarmed state as well. That's the reason why you would want that. So probably in the next update, I'll have something like that. Now what we need to do now is we need to create these sockets on this character. So I'm going to open up his skeleton. I'm going to create a socket on his left hand, and that'll be held object L. And then this one will be called held object underscore R. And now what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to open up the UEFN. Actually, let me do it this way. So I'm going to close all other tabs because I have too many windows open now. I'm going to go under the UE4 folder and I'm going to open up him. And I'm going to open up his skeleton mesh. And I'm going to select these because he has the same skeleton. And I'm going to copy these sockets right here. And I'm going to open my Steve guy up. And I'm just going to paste. And now you'll see they're in similar positions. So if you need to, you can offset them. After the game starts running, you can offset them, and I'll show you how to do that. So before we do that, actually, let's go ahead and make a gameplay tag for him. I need to rename this as well. Under the class defaults, I'm going to create another one in here. You can put yours wherever you want. I'm just going to add this one under templates. I'm going to choose that I to add it to. And that's going to be CC4 Steve. So if you go to your slot manager, you can actually change the name of those sockets for this character specifically. And you can just type in a new name. But I just copied them over from the UE4 to the Steve. Well, let me go into the widgets, and I need to add a button for him. I can just duplicate this one, and then right here, this guy here, I'm going to replace with mine. And if I run over this guy, he'll open up over here where I docked him last. And you'll see. So I'm going to want to adjust this one. You can also set this at a preview mesh and set one of those dummy things as the preview and just do it without having to do it during runtime. So, yeah, looks fine to me. I think that'll work. I don't have any animations in here right now, so yeah, we'll get to that eventually. But if I try to pick something up, you'll see he can't pick anything up. Also, sometimes his fingers look a little funny, and that's just because the fingers don't really retarget well. You'll see there's also an offset going up right there. So that's why inside of the IK retargeter, I'm just going to close all those other tabs again. That's why inside of here, a lot of those characters have some static local offsets here. And so these static local offsets are local to the hands orientation and not the mesh orientation. That's why you don't really want to use static offset. You only really ever want to use the local offset. So that's the wrong direction. This will be up and down. So I might say -4 for this one, just to see how that comes out. And then over here on this one, I'm going to say +4 since it's mirrored. You have to go the opposite direction. And now if I come over into here and I try to mantle, you'll see now his hands are actually touching. So I hope that helps you guys understand that. I know I'm kind of like taking this real slow. But I want to make sure I cover everything. That's the reason why I'm taking it slow. So this is the stuff you have to watch out for when retargeting your poses back to the UEFN. You don't want stuff like that because that offset of 4 will be added to the pose after it's retargeted back. So in that case, you would actually just want to create a separate one of these. And this is UEFN 2 Steve. You would create another one. And I'll call it Steve 2 UEFN. And I'll copy that by shift right clicking and shift left clicking. And then I'll say UEFN. And then right here, I'm going to 0 these out. But then you'll see that his feet are all weird. And that's because we have these offsets here. So we would need to do the same thing for him for the legs. For the legs, it's fine. You want this to come over properly for the legs. I haven't seen any negative side effects of like making sure that these are aligned right here. This part is actually kind of needed. So it looks like the orientation of these legs are different. That's why going up and down on this doesn't move it back and forth. It moves it, instead of going back and forth, it's moving it up and down. And that's because the orientation of these bones between these characters are different. So I'll do 12 and -12. And it looks, I want to say I should lower it a bit. So that's going left and right. This goes up and down. These were the ones inverted. So that's probably going to be 1. Yeah. So that's how you would set one up for retargeting the poses back to the UEFN. This is how you would set it up. You want to make sure that these are not aligned. You don't want this. You don't want that. You want it to not be aligned, okay? So I want to get that through to you. This would be the one that you would use to retarget the poses back. So anyway, that covers the initial part of the character setup. So in the next video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to actually set up the weapons to work with the new character. All right, I'll see you in the next video. All right, guys, so I was actually going to show you guys how to set up the IKRig and IKRetargeter from scratch, but I ran into some problems and I just don't want to drag this out. So I'm going to have you guys just select the character whose skeleton is similar to yours. And if there isn't one, then you can go and look up some videos online on setting up custom IKRigs and IKRetargeters, or you can just use the auto method. And if you have any problems, then go look up videos. I did have some problems, so I'm just going to copy these two over into my character folder. And then I'm going to open up this one here, and I'm just going to replace this with Steve. And I'm going to rename this to Steve. And I'm going to rename this to Steve. And I'm going to replace this guy here with this one. Something I'm going to do though is I'm going to reset both of these. So come over here and press Edit Retarget Pose, and under Source and under Target, go to this Reset button and reset all. We don't actually want to match their poses. That can help in some situations, but it's going to cause other problems along the way. So I'm going to suggest you guys don't do that. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, so I'll continue this video and I'll include the rest of the video in here, but just know that I don't suggest setting up a custom one. I'm just going to tell this, I'm going to put this at the end of the video where I showed y'all how to do this custom. I'm going to suggest you just do it this way. So it looks like we're not having problems down here. You want to make sure that the feet are actually down on the ground. You might have to adjust these or flip these. In this case, I didn't. So I'm going to now come over here to my, and I'm going to assign it to my IKRetargeter. Oh, come out of edit mode where you won't see those offsets. Now you can see them. Okay. So I'm going to have to invert these. There we go. For my character, it was the same offsets. I just had to invert them. Again, remember, guys, if you do this, you may corrupt your blueprint if you do stuff like that on the construction script. Not everything is safe to do on the construction script. Now, I haven't gone over this part of it with you guys yet, but you'll see in the next video where I'll cover this part of it. Yeah. All right. Wait, was I not recording? Fuck. Oh, wait.